welcome back for day 2 of our countdown to the blog hop with Bella Boulevard and Clique Kits. Today I'm sharing a layout I made of one of my little boys. He is 4, and I just kind of wanted to do a layout about him and about what a sweet little heart he has. So that's what today's layout is about. I went ahead and started out with an 8.5 by 11 sheet of cardstock, and I cut down one of the pattern papers that came in the kit. It's the little one with black hearts and it says love you, and then on the other side it's the cut apart sheet, and I just adore this paper. It is so cute, and I wanted to go pretty monochromatic for this layout just to keep the focus on the photo and the words that I will be including in the layout. So here you see the basic idea and layout of my scrapbooking page. So this little acrylic piece I had in my stash I got from Ali Edwards, and it just says heart on it. And what I'm doing here is I'm taking a paper piercer and I'm going to attach that to the cardstock by actually sewing it. So because I like to do things in threes, I'm going to take my gold thread and I'm going to sew that acrylic piece down in 3 spots. So in one spot on the H, one spot kind of towards the middle, and then one spot on the end where that T is. So this is going to do 2 things. It's going to help hold down that acrylic piece, and it's also going to add a little bit more interest to my page, and then it will allow me to add some gold accents throughout the page. So what I did is I took just some gold thread that I use in my sewing machine, and I looped it around so the actual thread is 4 strings, and then I looped that 4 strings through my acrylic piece 3 times. Just so you'd be able to see it, that string is pretty thin because it is a thread, so just to be able to let it be seen on the acrylic piece I needed to make sure it was pretty thick. So I just knotted that off and then adhered it with some washi tape over the top. So again, I'm just going to go down somewhere about towards the middle, and this will hold my acrylic piece down. So I really like using these big acrylic pieces on my layouts. I think it adds to a big title and keeps the focus on the white on white. I like how it keeps the focus on the photo, but I just love the big titles and the big acrylic pieces. They're really fun to use. So I'm just going to finish sewing that down, and then I will continue on with the layout. Now for my journaling on this, what I did is I have my typewriter, and I just took a 4x6 piece of cardstock and ran that through my typewriter and typed out my journaling, and then you'll see I'm going to lay it out and then trim up the pieces and make it into word strips that will go down the center of my layout. So that little piece there says XOXO, and that was in the cut apart sheet. It's an exclusive that came with the kit. Now here's where I'm talking about those little word strips. So I just typed out my journaling, and then on those word strips I'm just going to lay those all down and then trim up the edges of all those. I didn't want to trim up the edges before I laid them down because I do like to stagger them a bit, and I wanted to make sure that as they were staggered they created a little bit more interest. So you'll see I'm kind of staggering them out, and I'm going to leave 1 row of hearts between each one of those word strips. So now that I have all those laid out, I'm just going to make sure that looks good, and then I'm going to go through my embellishments that I got in the kit and find a few little pieces to add to the layout, just to add just a touch of color but not too much. I'm going to end up going with that pink and gold heart, and I'm going to put that up by that acrylic piece. And then at the bottom, I am going to add a little tag that I'm going to end up stamping the date on. So here you'll see that I just pulled out some things from the stash. I grabbed that number 4, but I didn't have any other of that turquoise color in the layout, so I got rid of that. And then I was looking for either a gold piece or a pink piece to tie in with that heart up above. And I found this little tab, and what I'm going to do is take my roller date stamp and I'm just going to stamp it with January 2016, which is when this photo was taken. So I'm going to stamp that, and then what I'm going to end up doing is popping that up at the very bottom underneath all those word strips. And I'm also going to add just a little bit of stitching, gold stitching underneath, again to bring in more of that gold that's on the upper part of the layout and bring it down below. Now the roller date stamp that I used is the Heidi Swap script one that I got at Michael's, and that little heart that I just used is from a Heidi Swap stamp set that I also got at Michael's, but that was part of the memory planner stamp set. So I just added that onto the little tab, and I actually, that memory planner stamp set has a little heart and a little star that are the perfect size for just little tiny embellishments, so I actually use those a lot. So now I'm just adhering down all those little word strips, and again on that journaling I just talked about how he has such a beautiful heart and I want him to take risks, and that sometimes his heart might hurt, but over time it will mend and it will become stronger. And I also told him to be careful with other people's hearts, and that to love often and love hard, and always remember that mommy loves him. So just kind of a little love note to him, and I hope, you know, someday when he reads this he'll just know how much mommy loves him. So here again, I'm going to pop up that little tab, but first I'm going to add some gold stitching underneath it, and then I will add the pop dots. So right there I just took my pencil and marked with a pencil where I want that stitching. So now I'm going to grab my sewing machine, and I went ahead and put that gold thread that I used to stitch down the acrylic piece. I slid that gold thread into my sewing machine, and I'm going to use that same gold thread to stitch down the little heart at the very top and to underline that little tag. So I'm just going to slide that through my sewing machine, do a quick little straight stitch at the bottom, and then again a stitch over that heart at the very top. So I'm just finishing up with that stitching, and I stitched down the heart, the center of the heart, and then you'll see me, after I finish stitching that up, I'll kind of pull up the sides of the heart, and that's just going to pull it up a little bit to add a little bit of dimension to that heart. And I love how that ends up looking. So I just squish up the edges and then it pops up off that page. So I'm going to add that little XOXO cut apart sheet, and then my tab that I stamped the date on. I'm going to go ahead and place some pop dots on that and stick that onto my layout. And then all I need to do is add the photo, and of course whenever you're videotaping, I go to roll on my adhesive, and it got a little stuck there, but then I was able to slide it under. So I was just making sure that that is perfectly straight, so you got my head for a second because I had to stand up and make sure it was perfectly straight. So after I straighten it all out, now I'm going to grab some Heidi Swap Color Shine in gold and add that to the corners of my layout, and then just blot it off with a paper towel. And that will finish the layout for today. Make sure to stay tuned till the end for some still photos. Thanks so much for stopping by for day 2. You can hit the link below to see day number 1, and we'll see you back tomorrow. Thanks. Have a great day. Bye-bye.